My name is Ana Garcia-Hernandez. I'm a research fellow at the Berlin Social Science Center and an incoming postdoc at Universidad Rosario and IPA in Colombia. And today I'm going to present a paper that is titled Does Political Voice Change Women's Prosociality? And is evidence from a lab in the field experiment in Uganda. So the motivation for this project is the fact that we have evidence that political participation of women is important. And in this literature, the papers assume one channel, that is the fact that men and women, assuming that men and women have different preferences, when women are included in decision-making bodies that before were only formed by men, there are new preferences represented, and this changes the outcomes of the decisions. In this paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to present another possible mechanism, that is the fact that just by being empowered or included in decision-making bodies, this could alter preferences directly of individuals. There are theories of agency, both in psychology and neuroscience, that suggest that this is possible. There's also some evidence in economics that participation in democratic institutions increases cooperation, and a paper by Dalbo and co-authors. And why is this relevant? Well, because in the presence of this second mechanism, even if the preference of men and women were the same, increasing the representation of women would be important because there would be because they would change the outcomes just by being empowered. So in this paper, I'm going to answer these two research questions. What is the relationship between political voice and prosociality? And what are the effects of increasing the political voice of groups that usually do not participate in these institutions? The context of the lab in the field experiment is Uganda, the north of Uganda, district called Lira. There, I select 20 communities randomly. And from these 20 communities, by random walk, I select the participants for a total of 290 participants. In this context, most of the decisions regarding budget allocation, the election of leaders, or other like conflict resolution are made at this level, at community level. And we have data, this data from my experiment, from the survey, that women attend less community meetings than men, and they also participate less. This data is also sustained by Afrobarometer data in the country and indeed in the region as well. So the game I design is a modified public goods game in which 10 participants play at the same time 2 rounds of this modified public good game. And I use the random lottery incentive method to just choose one of the 2 rounds to be realized. And this game is played in the field. Now, jumping to the design of the game, we can see in the diagram the different steps of the game. So the first one is the vote. The participants vote between one of the 2 sectors, either education or health. And this vote is anonymous and secret and will determine the sector that will receive the money of the public account. The second one is the treatment. Participants receive a card, either green or red, that indicates whether they have political voice or voting power or not in the decision of which sector will be allocated the money. There's 5 red cards and 5 green cards that change between rounds, and the participants know the color of their card, but they don't know who has the other cards. The third step is a normal public good game. Is the step of the contributions. The participants receive an endowment of 10 tokens that is equivalent to 10,000 Ugandan shillings, and they have to choose how much they want to keep for themselves and how much they want to contribute to the public account. They played through the strategy method, so they received 2 endowments, one for education and one for health, and they had to decide how many tokens to allocate to the private and the public account for the 2 sectors, assuming that one of them will be the winner. Then we randomly select one of the 2 rounds, count the valid votes, and see which sector was chosen through those that had voting power in that round, then count the money in the public account, and then pay out the private account. So quickly to the results. In this table, you can see the outcome variable here is the number of tokens that they contribute to the public account. in the preferred sector in total, and the difference in the contributions. And the treatment is having voting power. And as you can see, there's no effect of having voting power in the number of tokens that participants contribute to the public account. The second research question is whether female participants were affected more by the treatment. Here we can see the orange line is female participants and the blue line is male participants. On the left is the effect for those participants that gain voting power, in the right for those that lose voting power over the two rounds. So we can see there's no effect of the treatment on men. None of the effects are different from zero, significantly different from zero. But in the case of women, we see that those that lose political voice, meaning they receive the green card in the first round and they receive the red card in the second round, they participate less significantly than men, and significantly different from zero. So to conclude, political voice does not increase the level of prosociality, and in this case, I measure it by in the form of contributions to a public good of the community. But we see that women are more sensitive to changes in political voice, and they particularly react when they experience a negative shift in empowerment. There's also some suggestive evidence, even though I haven't presented here, that are those women that experience already some voice in the community, that have some position of power, those that contribute more when given a political voice. Some of the implications of this project is that it's important to understand the implications of the inclusion of groups in institutions of decision making, and possibly also the sustained inclusion of them in these committees. Especially in development economics. Then there's also suggestive evidence that preferences change, in this case, when agents experience political voice over decisions.